My name is Mia Rodriguez, 31 years old, standing alone on a vast stage at the University of Washington in Seattle, gripping my master's degree in marketing with no family in the audience. Overwhelming pride blended with a deep, aching loneliness as I gazed at the empty seats reserved for my parents and siblings. The persistent Seattle drizzle pattered against the auditorium windows, its gray curtain mirroring the heaviness in my chest, as if the city itself shared my quiet sorrow. The ceremony buzzed with energy graduates adjusting caps, nervous laughter echoing families clustered in proud huddles. Fathers beamed, mothers dabbed at tears, siblings snapped endless photos, their flashes lighting up the room. My reserved row 5 seats in the front stayed glaringly vacant. I had known this might happen. My family was at my sister Luna's wedding on Puget Sound Island, a lavish affair my mother had orchestrated for months, with gourmet seafood fairy lights and live music under the moody northwest clouds. They had chosen that over my graduation, despite my reminders scrawled on the family calendar since January, emails sent and calls made. As names were called alphabetically, my heart thudded against my ribs. When the dean announced, Mia Rodriguez, Master of Science in Marketing with honors, I crossed the stage to polite applause, no cheers, no whistles like others received. Shaking the dean's hand, I accepted the diploma holder, forcing a smile for the photographer's flash. Inside, emptiness gnawed at me, a hollow ache that made this pinnacle of years of sacrifice feel meaningless without someone to share it with. Then came an unexpected jolt. The principal, a kind-faced man overseeing the honors segment, approached with a nod. Mia, your achievements deserve special recognition. He said, his voice warm as he opened my diploma box right there on stage. Tucked inside was a sleek envelope, not the university's standard issue. He pulled it out, curiosity flickering in his eyes, and broke the seal before the assembled crowd. The auditorium fell silent as he unfolded the letter and read aloud. Dear Miss Rodriguez, he began, his voice resonating through the speakers. We are thrilled to offer you a prestigious opportunity that recognizes your exceptional work. He paused, glancing at me with a smile, then continued. Details will follow, but this is a rare honor. Gasps erupted, followed by a surge of applause louder and sharper than any I'd heard all day. Whispers rippled through the crowd, classmates craning their necks, professors nodding in approval. My knees buckled. I gripped the podium, shock mingling with confusion. An opportunity. What did this mean? Before I could process it, my phone buzzed relentlessly in my pocket. Later, still dazed, I saw 68 missed calls. Mom, Dad, Anthony, even Luna, who should have been dancing at her wedding. Their sudden attention hit like a shockwave, but it left a bitter taste. Why only now? Why only after this public moment? If you're watching, drop a comment telling me where you're from and hit subscribe to follow how this unfolded. Your support means the world. I'm the middle child in a family of 3 siblings, always caught in the shadow of my older brother and younger sister, striving to prove my worth in a home where attention was never evenly shared. My older brother, Anthony Rodriguez, 34 years old, is a venture capitalist in Seattle's tech scene, the golden child whose deals are the talk of every family gathering. Anthony just funded a startup worth millions. My father would boast, his eyes gleaming with pride, while I sat quietly, my achievements barely a footnote. My younger sister, Luna Rodriguez, 27 years old, is the family's darling, a rising pop singer whose every move is celebrated. She doesn't need to work. Her music career is more about glamour than necessity. Her social media filled with studio selfies and festival performances. Luna's upcoming wedding to her producer fiancé was deemed, in my mother's words, the event of the decade, complete with a Puget Sound backdrop and a guest list that read like a music industry who's who. My father, John Rodriguez, 62 years old, owns a chain of taco restaurants across Washington, a self-made man with high expectations for his children. But those expectations always skewed. Anthony got admiration for his business acumen. Luna got indulgence for her charm, and I got fleeting nods when my successes were too big to ignore. My mother, Jennifer Rodriguez, 58 years old, is a freelance journalist for local magazines, her life a whirlwind of deadlines and social events. She orchestrates our family's calendar holidays, birthdays, dinners, but somehow her middle daughter often slipped through the cracks. Growing up in our Bellevue home, surrounded by tech wealth and rainy days, I felt like a ghost in my own family. With Anthony, there was always a silent rivalry. He'd scowl when I outscored him on exams, his competitive streak flaring despite his polished exterior. I'd feel a quiet thrill knowing I'd beaten him academically even if no one else cared. With Luna, it was different. I adored her. But to her, I was invisible, the practical sister she called for help with contracts or tech issues, only to forget my existence the next day. I was always a stellar student pulling straight A's through high school and college, but my report cards and awards were overshadowed by Anthony's investment pitches or Luna's viral music covers. One memory stings sharply. At 16, I was selected to pitch a marketing campaign at a national youth business conference in Seattle. I'd spent months perfecting my slides, practicing every word. The night of the event, I scanned the audience for my family heart sinking as I saw empty chairs. They'd gone to Anthony's startup launch instead. Anthony needed our support. Mia Mom explained later, her tone dismissive. "You're so independent, you're fine." Another wound came at my undergraduate graduation from Seattle University 8 years ago. I graduated summa cum laude, a rare honor. Only Dad showed up clapping briefly before rushing off to help Luna with an audition tape. "You get it right?" "Mia, this could be Luna's big break," he said already, halfway out the door, leaving me clutching my honors cord alone. That moment crystallized my place in the family, always secondary, always expected to understand. These weren't isolated incidents. Family dinners revolved around Anthony's latest deal or Luna's next gig. My contributions, a research project. A published article met with a quick, "That's nice, Mia," before the conversation shifted. I learned early to bury my disappointment, to channel it into my work. Marketing fascinated me not for its flash, but for its logic, understanding people, crafting strategies, solving puzzles others overlooked. It gave me purpose, a spark my family never ignited. Yet beneath my drive, the hurt lingered. Every missed event, every brushed-off achievement built a quiet resentment. I wondered if I'd ever matter to them as much as my siblings did. As I poured myself into my master's program, I held on to a fragile hope that this degree, this milestone, might finally make them see me. My master's journey in marketing at the University of Washington was a solitary climb, one I carved out through sheer grit. I funded my tuition with teaching assistantships and freelance consulting gigs, balancing late-night research with early morning classes. Marketing wasn't just a degree for me, it was a passion, a way to decode human behavior, craft strategies, and find order in chaos. The long hours, the intellectual challenges, the thrill of a well-executed campaign lit a fire in me that my family never did. My mentor, Professor Margaret Chen, 60 years old, a renowned expert in consumer behavior, saw something in me that my family overlooked. After I presented a project on digital marketing trends, she pulled me aside. "Mia, your ability to connect data with human insight is rare," she said, her eyes sharp with conviction. "You're going places." Her words were a lifeline, the first time someone valued my mind over my siblings' flashier accomplishments. Unbeknownst to me, she had quietly nominated me for a prestigious opportunity, a secret she kept to surprise me later. 8 months before my graduation, Luna announced her engagement to her music producer, fiancé Ethan. Our family's group chat exploded with excitement, Mom sharing venue photos, Dad debating catering options, Anthony suggesting high-profile guests. When I checked the date, my stomach dropped. The wedding was set for the same day as my master's ceremony, June 10th. I'd marked my graduation on the family calendar at the start of the year, sent calendar invites, even mentioned it at Sunday dinners. But Luna's news eclipsed everything. "It's the event of the decade," Mom gushed in a call. "You'll be there, right, Mia?" I swallowed my frustration. "My graduation's the same day, Mom," I said, keeping my voice steady. Her pause was brief but telling. "Oh, sweetie, that's right. It's at 2 p.m., isn't it? The wedding starts at noon. We'll figure something out." Her tone was distracted, already shifting to floral arrangements. Dad's response was vaguer. A mumbled, "We'll see what we can do." Anthony texted a quick, "Might be tough, sis, but we'll try." Their words felt like empty promises, a pattern I knew too well. 2 months before the ceremony, I sent formal invitations to my family printed on crisp cardstock, hoping the gesture would make my milestone real to them. Mom replied with a text, "Got the invite, Mia. It's just so busy with Luna's wedding. We'll do our best." Anthony didn't respond at all. Luna called, but only to ask if I could help with her website for wedding RSVPs. "You're so good at tech stuff," she said, brightly oblivious to my silence. I did it, hoping she'd mention my graduation. She didn't. 1 week before the big day, I called Mom to confirm their plans. "Mom, are you guys coming to my ceremony on Saturday?" I asked, gripping the phone. "Mia." "Darling, it's tricky," she said, her voice rushed. "Luna's wedding is a full-day thing, ceremony at noon, reception right after. Your event's in the middle of it. Maybe Dad can swing by for a bit." I bit back the hurt, murmuring, "I understand, though." I didn't. Not really. I clung to a shred of hope they'd show up, that this time would be different. The night before graduation, I lay awake in my small Seattle apartment, staring at the ceiling, caught between anticipation and dread. I'd bought a new dress, emerald green, to match my eyes, and reserved a table for 5 at a waterfront restaurant, naively optimistic. I'd even contacted the university to save front-row seats for my family. But a quiet voice in my head whispered reminders of past letdowns, the piano recitals, the college graduation, the countless moments they'd chosen my siblings over me. Graduation morning arrived, and I woke at dawn, nerves fluttering. I'd poured years into this degree, sleepless nights, analyzing consumer data, refining my thesis on brand loyalty, pushing through self-doubt. I took extra care getting ready, curling my hair, applying makeup with precision, slipping into that green dress. In the mirror, I looked confident, but inside I braced for disappointment. At 8 a.m., I texted the family group chat, heading to campus now. Ceremony at 2. Hope to see you there. No reply came. By 9, I was at the UW campus, the air thick with excitement. Graduates milled about, families snapping photos, parents adjusting caps with proud smiles. I spotted a classmate, Sarah, with her parents and little brother, all laughing as her mom fussed over her gown. Sarah waved me over. "Mia, come meet my family," she called. I forced a smile, joining them. Her parents were warm, asking about my post-graduation plans. "Where's your family?" her mom asked kindly. "Oh, they're caught in traffic." I lied, the words bitter on my tongue. Professor Chen approached, her academic robes flowing. "Mia, congratulations," she said, shaking my hand firmly. "Your work has been outstanding. Are your parents here? I'd love to meet them." I hesitated, the lie easier now. "They're running late. Probably stuck on the bridge." She nodded, smiling. "Well, make sure they find me after." "Your thesis was exceptional." Her praise warmed me, but it couldn't fill the void of those empty seats waiting in the auditorium. The University of Washington's auditorium hummed with anticipation as the graduation procession began, a sea of purple gowns flowing under bright stage lights. I joined the line of graduates, my emerald dress hidden beneath my robe, my heart heavy, despite the festive air. The drizzle outside had slowed, but the gray clouds still pressed against the windows, a quiet echo of my mood. I scanned the audience repeatedly, searching for familiar faces. Mom's bright smile, Dad's proud nod, even Anthony's half smirk. The 5 seats I'd reserved in the front row stared back empty, a silent confirmation of my family's absence. The university president's speech droned on, filled with platitudes about futures and achievements. I barely listened, my eyes flicking to the entrance doors, hoping for a last-minute rush of familiar figures. None came. When my name was called, Mia Rodriguez, Master of Science in Marketing with honors, I walked across the stage, the applause polite but distant, no personal cheers cutting through the crowd. I shook the dean's hand, accepted my diploma holder, and posed for the photo, my smile a fragile mask. The weight of solitude pressed harder than ever this moment. The culmination of years of grinding through data, late-night revisions, and relentless self-doubt felt like a victory no one else saw. Then the principal stepped forward for the honors segment, his kind eyes finding mine. "Mia, your achievements deserve special recognition," he said, his voice carrying a warmth that caught me off guard. He opened my diploma box right there on stage, revealing a sleek envelope I hadn't seen before, its crisp edges stark against the university's standard documents. The crowd hushed as he broke the seal and began reading aloud. "Dear Miss Rodriguez," he announced, the microphone amplifying his words, "we are thrilled to offer you a prestigious opportunity that recognizes your exceptional work." He paused, smiling at me. "Details will follow, but this is a rare honor." The auditorium erupted, gasps, murmurs, then a wave of applause, sharp and electric. Classmates turned to stare, professors nodded approvingly. My breath caught my hands trembling as I gripped the podium. What was this? Why hadn't I known? The ceremony ended in a blur, families flooding the stage with hugs and flowers. I stood alone, clutching my diploma holder, the envelope's weight burning in my mind. My phone buzzed incessantly in my pocket, a relentless vibration that felt out of place. When I finally checked, still dazed, I saw 68 missed calls. Mom, Dad, Anthony, Luna, even her fiancé, Ethan. They should have been at the wedding toasting under Puget Sound's fairy lights. Why were they calling now? I left the auditorium, the drizzle resuming as I walked to my car. Back at my apartment, I changed into sweatpants and a hoodie, the emerald dress discarded on a chair. I ordered takeout pad thai from the corner shop and sat on my couch, staring at the diploma holder. I should have felt triumphant, but the empty seats and those buzzing calls left a sour knot in my stomach. I opened the diploma box, intending to photograph it for a few close friends who'd texted congratulations. That's when I saw the envelope again, its presence both thrilling and unsettling. I set it aside, not ready to face it, and poured a glass of wine for a solitary celebration. My phone lit up with a video call from Mom. I hesitated, then answered, bracing myself. The screen filled with noise and color, Mom's flushed face. Luna in her white wedding dress, Anthony and Dad in tuxedos, all crowded in a decorated tent by the water. Music and laughter spilled from the background. "Mia, oh my gosh! Congratulations," Mom shouted over the din. "We heard about the announcement." "Why didn't you tell us?" Luna leaned in, her veil, slightly askew, voice bubbly. "Sis, that's huge. Wish you were here to celebrate with us." Dad's face appeared, grinning wider than I'd ever seen. "That's my girl." "What an honor," Anthony added. "Seriously impressive, Mia." We're all freaking out. Their excitement felt like a tidal wave, but it crashed against a wall of resentment. Not one mentioned my graduation, the ceremony they'd skipped for Luna's wedding. It was all about the principal's announcement, whatever that prestigious opportunity was. "Thanks," I said, my voice flat, despite the turmoil inside. "Looks like you're having a blast there." Mom waved a hand. "We're so sorry we couldn't make it, sweetie. The wedding's been non-stop. We'll celebrate your thing soon, promise." Luna chimed in. "Yeah, come join us after, it's amazing here." I bit back a retort. My thing was my master's degree, not some afterthought. "I'm pretty tired," I said instead. "Maybe another time." Mom frowned. "But this is huge, Mia. We need to toast this." I ended the call abruptly. my chest tight with a mix of anger and hurt. I canceled the restaurant reservation I'd made for 5, the hostess's sympathetic tone stinging as I reduced the party to 0. Another time, maybe, she asked gently. Yeah? I replied, my voice steady despite the ache. Back on my couch, I stared at the unopened envelope, its mystery now tainted by my family's sudden selective attention. They hadn't cared about my degree, but this vague honor had them buzzing. The realization twisted like a knife my worth to them seemed tied to something they hadn't even understood yet. The morning after my graduation, I woke to a knot of anxiety twisting in my stomach. The unopened envelope from the ceremony sat on my coffee table, its mystery overshadowed by the sting of my family's absence. I tidied my small Seattle apartment more to calm my nerves than out of necessity, wiping down counters already spotless. At 10 sharp, a forceful knock rattled my door. I opened it to find my entire family, Mom, Dad, Anthony, Luna, even her fiancé Ethan, standing in the hallway dressed as if for a gala rather than a casual brunch. Mom carried a bouquet of lilies, Dad held a bottle of champagne, Anthony clutched a wrapped gift box, and Luna, still in a hint of her wedding glow, held a cake inscribed with "Congratulations, Mia" in elegant script. "There's our star," Dad boomed, stepping forward to hug me, a gesture so rare it felt awkward. Mom bustled in, arranging the lilies in a vase I rarely used, setting the champagne and cake on my dining table. "This place is quaint," she said, her tone implying it was anything but suitable for their newly celebrated daughter. Anthony handed me the gift, a sleek leather briefcase, its price tag unsubtly attached, worth more than my rent. "For your next big step," he said with a grin. Luna lingered near the door, scrolling her phone, her expression tight with reluctance. Dad popped the champagne, pouring glasses with a flourish. "To Mia, our shining star," he declared, raising his glass. "This incredible honor, whatever it is, puts us all on the map." Mom chimed in. "I can't wait to tell the neighbors. Everyone's buzzing already." Their excitement was palpable, but it centered on the principal's vague announcement, not my master's degree. Not one mentioned the empty seats at my ceremony, the years of work it represented. I set my glass down, the bubbles untouched. "Thanks for coming," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "But can we talk about yesterday? None of you were at my graduation?" The room stilled. Mom's smile faltered. "Mia, sweetie, let's not ruin this moment," she said, waving a hand. "We're here now, celebrating your big news." Luna rolled her eyes. "Here we go. Always making it about you." "About me," I snapped, the dam breaking. "You all skipped my master's ceremony for Luna's wedding, even though I told you months ago. And now you're here acting like this honor, whatever it is, makes up for it." Dad frowned, confused. "Mia, we've always been proud of you. You're so capable, you don't need us there like your siblings do." His words cut deeper than he knew. "Capable?" I laughed bitterly. "That's your excuse. Let me remind you, when I was 16, you missed my national conference pitch for Anthony's startup launch. My undergrad graduation, you left after 20 minutes. Dad, for Luna's audition. And yesterday, not one of you showed up. But now, because of some vague announcement, you're here with champagne?" My voice rose, years of resentment spilling out. Mom's eyes glistened, but she deflected. "We're busy people, Mia. We can't be everywhere." Anthony shifted uncomfortably, then spoke. "Okay, you're right. I've always been jealous of you. You're brilliant without even trying. I had to claw my way to every deal." His admission stunned me. "Anthony, the golden child, jealous?" Luna scoffed. "Oh, please. At least you show up for family stuff, Anthony. Mia's always off doing her own thing, acting superior." "Superior?" I turned to her, incredulous. "I've been begging to be seen my whole life. Do you know how it feels to be invisible at every dinner, every event? My achievements get a 'That's nice, Mia.' Then it's back to Anthony's deals or your music." The air grew thick with tension. Ethan tried to mediate. "Hey, let's calm down." "No." I cut him off. "There's more." I found out last week, Dad, that you used my college fund money I worked summers to contribute to for Luna's wedding venue. The room froze. Mom gasped. How did you? Dad's face reddened. Mia, that was a family decision. Luna's wedding was a once-in-a-lifetime event. Once in a lifetime, I shouted. What about my education? My years of scraping by teaching freelancing while you poured my money into her day. Luna's eyes flashed. You're so selfish. My wedding was for all of us, not just me. You can't handle me having one moment. Her words were a slap, echoing her spoiled entitlement. Anthony tried again. Look, we've all messed up. Maybe we can. But I was done. No, you only care now because of some public announcement, not because of me. If Professor Chen hadn't called you about this honor, would you even be here? Would you have remembered I graduated? Silence answered, heavy and damning. Mom's tears fell, but no apology came. Dad looked away, uncomfortable. Luna huffed, storming toward the door. I'm done with this drama. Anthony hesitated, his expression torn, but followed Luna. Mom reached for me. Mia, please, we love you. I stepped back. If you loved me, you'd have been there yesterday. Not just when some title makes me worth your time. Dad gathered the champagne and cake, his shoulders slumped. We'll talk later, he muttered, but it felt empty. As they left, I closed the door, my heart pounding with a mix of rage and liberation. For the first time, I'd spoken my truth unfiltered. But the cost was clear. I was done chasing their approval. I decided then to cut them off to protect myself from their conditional attention. The envelope on my table still waited its promise, now a beacon for my own path, not theirs. After the confrontation, I shut my apartment door and sank to the floor, the silence deafening. The lilies Mom left wilted on my table, the champagne bottle unopened, the cake's congratulations, Mia mocking me. My heart churned with a strange mix of relief and raw pain. Relief from finally speaking my truth. Pain from knowing it changed nothing. I'd laid bare years of neglect, exposed the sting of my college fund being siphoned for Luna's wedding, yet no real apologies came. Their absence left a void, but it also sparked a resolve. I was done seeking their validation. For days, I ignored their calls and texts, Mom's tearful voicemails, Dad's awkward messages, Anthony's attempts at reconciliation, Luna's half-hearted, "Can we talk?" I turned off my phone, needing space to breathe. I walked Seattle's rainy streets, the familiar mist a comfort as I processed what I'd lost and what I'd gained. At my favorite coffee shop in Capitol Hill, surrounded by the hum of laptops and espresso machines, I finally opened the envelope from my diploma box. My hands trembled as I unfolded the letter, its Harvard University letterhead gleaming under the cafe's dim lights. Dear Miss Rodriguez, it read, we are thrilled to offer you admission to the Doctor of Philosophy program in marketing at Harvard University, with a full scholarship valued at $200,000. My breath caught. The letter detailed my acceptance into their elite consumer behavior lab, citing my thesis on brand loyalty as groundbreaking. A handwritten note from Professor Chen followed. Mia, your talent is extraordinary. I nominated you for this because I believe you'll change the field. Congratulations. Tears pricked my eyes, not from sadness but from a quiet pride. This was mine, earned through my own grit, not my family's approval. I visited Professor Chen at her UW office, papers stacked high around her. I'm so proud of you, Mia, she said, her smile warm. But I was surprised your family wasn't at the ceremony. Did I cause trouble by calling them? I shook my head, managing a weak smile. It's complicated. We had a big fight. She nodded, her expression thoughtful. Family can be tough. My own parents didn't get my career choice either. But you don't need their approval to shine. You've already proven that. Her words settled over me like a balm, reinforcing my decision to move forward alone. Over the next few months, I prepared for Harvard. I declined every attempt at contact from my family, Mom's invitations to dinner, Anthony's emails about starting fresh, Luna's texts blaming me for ruining her wedding vibe. Each message felt like a hook pulling me back to a cycle of neglect I refused to rejoin. I packed my Seattle apartment, sorting through books, clothes, and memories of a family that only saw me when prestige was attached. By August, I'd secured a small studio near Harvard's campus in Boston, funded by the scholarship. The cross-country move felt like shedding a heavy skin. Boston greeted me with crisp fall air and brick-lined streets, a new chapter untainted by old wounds. I threw myself into Harvard's program, diving into research seminars and late-night discussions with peers who valued my ideas. The work was grueling but exhilarating, each challenge a reminder of my worth. I didn't call home, didn't check their social media, didn't respond to the occasional letter Dad sent. The silence was painful at first, but it grew into freedom. I was no longer the invisible middle child begging for scraps of attention. Reflecting on it now, I see the lesson carved from this hurt. My value doesn't come from others' recognition, not even my family's. It's built from within, from the nights I pushed through doubt, the work I poured my soul into. Family should lift you up, but when they don't, you have to lift yourself. Their favoritism pouring my college fund into Luna's wedding, celebrating Anthony's deals while dismissing my degrees, tore us apart, because they couldn't see me as I was, only as a reflection of some external honor. I wish I'd realized sooner that waiting for their approval was a trap. To anyone watching, let my story be a warning: don't let others define your worth. If your family overlooks you, if they only cheer when the world does set boundaries early, protect your heart before it breaks under the weight of their neglect. You deserve to be seen for who you are, not what you achieve. I learned this the hard way, but it freed me to build a life on my own terms. Thank you for listening to my journey. If this resonated with you, please drop a comment sharing your story. Have you ever had to find your own worth? Hit that subscribe button to join me as I share more about this path. Your support means everything.